Hello and welcome to the fire. I'm just going to say this right now. Don't try to use the game as an excuse to be racist. Just don't. If the people at your table has a problem with it, then don't do it. In fact, just don't do it. The Keeper of Racist Lore, r/RPG horror stories, posted by Bring Otagi Back. I am fairly new when it comes to online play. I had yet to sit down with a group of people I do not know and play any kind of TTRPG. This was my first experience. I was in a Discord server, and in that server there was a hashtag looking for players channel. So I peeked inside and saw one that stood out for me. Call of Cthulhu 7th edition one-shot looking for 2 more players. Being a forever DM since 2004, I jumped at the chance. I have loved to DM COC in the past, and I thought that I would really enjoy being a player not knowing what to expect from my character. So I joined the group and get added to a call, where we all sit down and have a session 0. This is highly unusual for any Call of Cthulhu scenario to have, unless you were doing a big campaign. But I thought this was a good thing for the DM to sit down and talk to us about the setting that was 1920s America and help us write our characters into the story. I was so wrong. The DM, or Keeper of Arcane Lore as it is called in COC, starts talking about the setup for the scenario and then mentions, "This takes place in 1920s America. America in the 1920s was a racist country, and there might be some parts that some might find uncomfortable." This piqued my curiosity with how the DM was going to handle this. So I asked, question, how are you going to depict the racism in America in the 1920s? Is there going to be signs outside stores that says no colored people and whatnot? Well, yes, that is going to be most likely a thing. And then there might be other NPCs that feel uncomfortable with speaking to people of color. They might not want to divert information to them due to their own ignorance. Alright, that is more than fair, I guess, as long as we do not have to hear the N-word or some other racial slur. I think that would be good. The group chuckles nervously. Well, actually, racism was a thing in 1920s America, and that word was said quite often to address people of color. So, there is a chance you might hear it. I was not having this. I am not saying this as a black man. I am as white as they get. I live in Sweden. However, I have seen how harmful that word has been in the past, and I was not comfortable with this DM using it freely. Well, you could just choose not to say it. That would be highly unrealistic, since America was racist in the 1920s. Well, I do not feel comfortable with a white man such as yourself using a game as an excuse to utter racist slurs. Look, this game is not for snowflakes. If you do not like it, you could just leave. Nobody is forcing you to be here. I get what you're saying. I have DM'd Call of Cthulhu in the past, but there are so many different ways to go about this. Look, it is all about the realism. Just leave if you do not like it. I mean, you say it is all about realism, yet you glance over the facts that Sogoths and other Elvish horrors exist in this world. I think both me and the group can be perfectly fine with you not uttering that word and still fight against Elvish horrors set in the 1920s. The DM then sighed and kicked me out. I do not think I was being an a-hole. I was merely questioning and desperately trying to make the DM not to say the word. I also got contacted by 2 other players who said they had been kicked out of the group shortly after me being kicked out because they agreed with me. That is just... oof. From what I know of Call of Cthulhu, the TTRPG, is that it has racism disclaimers and footnotes in it for a while now, and honestly, anyone who thinks casual racism has a place here, I'm telling you, it doesn't. You're just using the pretense of a game to get away with being a racist, and that's messed up. Like in this case, the keeper here just wanted an excuse to say a certain word, and it's very telling after his comment about the quote-unquote snowflakes. Also, what gets me here is that it feels like it isn't that the keeper can't do it, but more like they won't do it. Can't is not being able to, and won't is a choice of not wanting to. I can only imagine the amount of mental gymnastics that's going around that person's head trying to justify saying an unnecessary word that people at their table are telling them not to use because it makes them uncomfortable. Good on the OP for calling that keeper out. Also, for those who don't know, H.P. Lovecraft's works has a lot of racist undertones, top tones, in fact, all the tones. While the original source material does have racist subject matter, you do not have to feature that aspect in your games. That's why Session Zeros are actually really important these days. It's where you can set the bar when it comes to people's boundaries. I'm glad that OP found this out early on rather than during the actual game itself. Don't create an unwelcoming gaming atmosphere at your table. That's totally a jerk move. I know that this can be quite a sensitive topic which needs an entire video or series dedicated to it, and maybe one day I'll sit down and work on one. But for now, I'll just say that there are issues like empathy, respect, cultural competence, and cultural humility that need to be further explored and discussed, but in this particular situation, the keeper was in the wrong. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. And would you kindly follow the socials posted in the description below. As always, be good, be great, be awesome.